Hello, Sony Photography here. So today's video is about taking long exposure photos inside of your car while it's moving. You need a few prerequisites to be able to take a photo like that. So the first one is obviously a camera. You need a camera to take a photo. You can also use your phone. A lot of phones these days have manual shooting modes. They allow you to set your own shutter speed or your ISO, so you can also do it with your phone. So the second prerequisite is having a mount. You need a mount to be able to hold your camera or your phone very steady while your car is moving. You can also accomplish this by putting your camera on the dash and your friend holding the camera, but you're not going to be able to get as stable or as nice perspective as putting it on a mount, and you can determine what angle you want the camera to be in. So having a mount really gives you more creativity. I already did a review on a car mount by a company called Cruise Cam. The mount is really nice. I've been using it in multiple videos right now, and this video will be featuring that mount. The third prerequisite is having a friend or some kind of a remote to take a picture of your camera without you touching it. Because while you're driving, you don't want to be touching or fiddling with the camera. Having a remote or a friend just press the shutter button for you would make a lot of things easier. I personally use the Sony Play Memories app. That app allows me to control my camera remotely, so I can have my phone on a mount and I can just tap the button and it will take a photo or video, and I can adjust the settings as well. And that app allows me to take continuous photos, so I can just leave the settings and kind of calculate how much it takes the camera to process long exposure photos, because I have the long exposure noise reduction setting on, so it will actually take a little bit time to process it in addition to the time it takes to write the file to the SD card. So once you know how long it's going to take for one photo to fully process, you can have it take photos every few seconds continuous, so that you can just focus on driving smoothly and find freshly paved road. The camera will take pictures on its own. So the fourth prerequisite is you need it to be dark outside. If it's dark outside, you can really grab those cool light trails. Those give the effect of going fast and traveling through time. You can also do this during the day. You shoot at the smallest aperture opening, or you will probably need to put an ND filter on your lens. And during the day, you're not going to get the same effect as doing it at night, but it's still totally doable. You're not going to be able to expose the shutter just as long as night shooting. And the fifth prerequisite is just driving and shooting. So let me go into some of the technical details on how to make this reality. So let's talk about the technical details on how to getting a long exposure picture inside of your car. So the first one is your shutter speed. It needs to be longer than normal, usually at least 1 second. It will give you a good enough result, but this will also depend on how fast you're traveling and also how bumpy the roads are. This is in addition to also balancing the light of your image. Make sure your picture is exposed properly. Last time I shot the long exposure photo, I used the kit lens and I had the aperture at f3.5, and I used about 3 to 4 seconds to get a nice image. But the roads weren't that smooth, so some shots where the inside of the car looked a little blurry because the car would shake. And since the mount is connected to the car, it's not like fully stable. Also, you want to pick the widest focal length as possible. If you have a kit lens, usually kit lenses that come with cameras are pretty wide. Mine was I think 16 millimeters, 16 to 55 or 50. Now I have the Sony 12 millimeter f2.0, and this will give me much nicer results. You can see like the viewpoint this gives you from my first impressions video. So usually in videos it crops a little bit, so in photos it will look even wider. So depending on your lens, you might need to be on the widest aperture rating, since it's going to be really dark. Even though you're going to have a long exposure, on my kit lens I had to use 3.5, but in the Samyang I probably won't shoot at 2.0 because it'll be too bright. In these kind of photos you have to kind of decide, do you want to put the focus on the exterior, the light trails, or do you want to put the focus on the interior of the car? So both of those will change the way you set your aperture and shutter speed. Both of them could give you cool effects. The interior shot, you can focus on the interior of the car. Maybe there's something special inside the car that you want to focus on, but also give it the perspective or the feeling of the car moving fast. Or the other way around is focusing on the outside and exposing for the outside. At that point, you probably won't need to shoot it wide open, because you want as much as things to be in focus. So shooting at f8 probably would be ideal, but you have to experiment because every lens and body is different. So you have to kind of play around. That's why having a friend with you is really nice, so that your friend can kind of give you feedback, saying that, oh, that last photo was too blurry, that last photo was too bright. So you can tell your friend to adjust some settings. The last suggestion I would give is to shoot in RAW. You want as much as information possible in your files. With JPEG is fine, but with RAW you can really push certain parts of the image. If you want to expose the interior a little bit more, later you change your mind, or you want to recover some of the highlights. Having a RAW image really will give you a lot of flexibility. Plus, you're not going to be shooting too many photos. You probably will end up with a few hundred images. It's not going to take that long to process those photos into JPEG. Since you're experimenting, there will be a lot of photos that are going to look bad or that didn't come up successfully. So yeah, just shoot as much as possible and shoot in RAW. And that's about it. If you do all those things, if you have all the prerequisites and follow all the technical details, you're going to be good. You can just go out there, shoot, and edit your photos and share them online. Let me know if you found this tutorial useful. If you have any questions, please let me know below in the comment section. And thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.